Who's here? Say hi. Who's watching? Give maybe like a minute for people to come in. Hello and welcome. I see you're there. Make sure you say hi in the comments so I can tell you hi properly. Hello, Remy. You went in your shower fast. I just spoke to you like 5 minutes ago. Who else is here? No one. Hello, Annie. We are passing in National Park coming down Lac Saint Jean. I understand the fact that you're like on the bus coming back home packed with kids and you're taking the time to come say hello warms my heart. I hope you had a wonderful trip. I cannot wait to hear all about it. You drove 6 hours on Friday with a bus full of kids. It must have been an epic ride to Lac Saint Jean, and now you had like 2 days there. It must have been nice, like to deconnect from the homestead with your kids and hubby. Anyone else wants to say hi? I'm seeing 4 now. 9 kids in the minibus. Holy. So 2 adults and 9 kids. Is that it? Melissa, are you saying help because she said she had 9 kids, or you wanted to say hello? Oh, hello. Hello, Melissa. How was your week? Did you do anything fun? Anything special? Okay, so 3 adults, 9 kids. That's a lot of kids. Did you end up bringing back blueberries, Emmy? As you guys are answering my questions, I watched a video on another channel, and it was like top 10 of stuff related to their channel. And since the theme of my channel is Back to Basics Homestead, I decided to do a top 10 of the good and the bad about homesteading. And I thought I was going to share with you. We're just home from Silverware. Also, it's like the an event over the weekend. I think you mentioned that before, that this is not the first time you say that. It was definitely a hot weekend, not a productive weekend here. Yesterday was with Humidex was 36 degrees Celsius. And I think today, it was 32. Yeah, something around that. And I was like feeling really yucky yesterday. So the heat and yuckiness, like my stomach was angry. My head was all over the place. It was not a productive day yesterday. Yes, that's it. Now I remember. My week, before I get on the topic, I had an accident happen to me this week. Earlier in the week, I think it was Wednesday, and I had to listen to my body. I had to rest the entire day that the accident happened. But overall, I was able to preserve a lot of food because many things are coming out of the garden. I am going every couple of days harvesting like baskets full of tomato. I processed. Hi, Tracy. I processed my first diced tomatoes this week. My first tomato sauce, salsa, peach salsa. I did jams. Did I do something else? I don't think I did something else. I dehydrated a lot of stuff. And oh yes, and I started harvesting my onions. They are like way past overdue to be harvested, because usually when your onion like falls on the ground, that means it's ready to be harvested. Mine is worse than that. There's no more leaves. They dried out in the garden, so I have to go harvest them and figure out a way of curing them. I also have potatoes that I might have to go harvest like soon, so I'm gonna have to find space for that also. How was your event, Tracy? I started like getting like real big harvests last week from the garden. Like real big harvests. And it's going to be a weird year. I had a problem with one of my tomatoes, one variety of tomato, which was the 10 fingers. I thought it was an indeterminate tomato, but it turned out to be a semi-determinate. In the trellising system I designed for them was a total chaos, and that garden bed is like really not enjoying the soil at all. So every single tomato that I'm taking out, so on 10 tomatoes I have at least 7, 8 that has like blossom and rot, but you don't see it on the tomato. It's when you cut it open and then there's like this black centerpiece inside of the tomato. It's official. I will no longer grow 10 fingers tomato. It was in the family of San Marzano, and everyone I talked about, they raved about 10 fingers, but here doesn't work. So I have 24 plants. So that's a potential of 240 pounds of tomato that I might not have. So I might have to buy tomatoes this year. Yeah, that I realized that this week. That really sucks to have to buy tomatoes. I know it's not the end of the world. It's not the most expensive. I can go at the market and buy it in bulk. But still, it feels weird that I will probably have to buy tomatoes. I have to figure out the amount that's coming out of the garden and not count that, but we shall see. I also have some tomatoes at Annie's place from Mama Homemade. I sent her way like, I think like 30 or 40 plants of tomatoes. Some of it will be hers, some of it will be mine. We shall see. I'm not there yet. I'm going to cross that bridge when I get there. There's no way that I'm going to let that stress me. I'm going to try to do the best of what I have here. Happy your event went well. I hope you had fun also. I'll have to buy, like, last year and the year before, I probably would beat myself up, say, oh my God, I have to buy tomatoes. Like, it's unacceptable. I have 150 tomato plants. I should not go buy tomatoes. But this year, I'm trying to stop beating myself up for little things like that. I know I'm going to have to make the investment, and that means I have to find it in my budget. So that means something has to give so that I can buy it. But it's a requirement to have tomatoes here. Like I do so many things with tomatoes, like barbecue sauce, and pizza sauce. I need 50 times 1 cups minimum of tomato sauce. So I can sacrifice salsa, but I cannot sacrifice pizza sauce. There's no way that I can sacrifice that. Like, I remember the week that I had COVID. I got COVID on, I think, like earlier on in the week. And I was keeping my energy like really all day. I didn't do anything so that I can, like, I didn't eat that night, but I made sure that Friday night there was pizza because they really enjoy pizza night. And it's becoming a classic here now. Anyone else wants to share what happened during the week? Also, if someone wants to pop in with me and share their top 10s when I'm finished, you're more than welcome. I'll be able to present you, you'll be able to tell a little bit about yourself, your channel, and your top 10 on what you think about homesteading. Hello, Dave. I just got out of the garden, got rain, just canned 2 bushels of tomato. Nice. That's a good thing. Good thing. So I wrote down my top 10. In the good, I have more. And in the bad, I don't have 10. So that tells you that for my part, I feel that there's more benefits, more good than bad. So Remy, you played softball, butchered my turkeys, and harvested about 10, 15 pounds per day in my garden. That's nice. That's really nice. You know, I keep saying this. I had some friends over this morning. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. But at the end of the day, when you go to bed and you think of everything you just put in your fridge, in your freezer, in a mason jar, or in your pantry, or regardless the way that you chose to preserve it, I feel so much reward. It's so rewarding to have all of that. Okay, what's a huckleberry? I have no idea what the huckleberry is. This year I learned about loganberries. They're similar to salmon berries. That's something I would really love to find here, or someone somehow would be able to send me a like in a 3 days mail, by the mail, salmon berries. They look like amazing. Service berries, another one I don't know, and tried to fish for brook trout. Nice. With everyone starting to fish around me and my son showing some desire to go fish, I might have to get my permit and get myself a fishing line. Okay, so I'm going to start with my good. They're not in order. It's as I was writing, I just wrote down. I'm seeing more and more people come in, and for me to know who you are, just make sure to say hello so I can properly say hi to you. Hello, Ecocentric Homestead. And here's my number 1. I know where my food comes from. So that means I know where the seed comes from. I know where the soil comes from. Hello, Marilyn. Like, overall, from growing seeds all the way down to put it in either my plate or in a mason jar, I know where my food comes from. And I need to remember Ecocentric Homestead, je t'aime. Because I always feel like I want to call you Jonathan, but I know it's not that. I'm so sorry. Number 2. This is something that I realized like recently. I feel much more connected to the soil, to the land, to my roots. And like overall, like I feel that I am where I'm supposed to be. Then number 3. I have a greener and a simpler lifestyle. So that means I feel that I'm making a difference on my consumption because I'm growing stuff in my backyard. I'm using rainwater, and like I'm using less and less baggage stuff, and like living a simpler lifestyle. So that means simpler ingredients means that overall it means it's simpler for me. I got sidetracked with a comment. Jotam properly. Jotam. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Like Rem's Homestead, I finally remember his name. So I'm going to remember at one point. At one point, I'm going to remember. This one will probably sound weird. The convenience of having food in your backyard or in your pantry. I know that on the other side, people that don't homestead like the convenience of going to the store and getting their own food. But I prefer having the convenience of going in my backyard or in my pantry because I just have to walk outside or walk in one of my pantries. And if I can live without an ingredient or I can find a substitute, I'd rather do that than jump in my car to have to go to the grocery store. I find that it's better quality of food, and I'm talking about meat, I'm talking about fruit and vegetables, in like you're giving yourself body, mind, soul, like a better food. And by doing that, you're healthier. And not only with your body that you're healthier, like your mind also, because there's also the therapy aspect, the mental health aspect. Like you get to spend a lot of time outside, play with soil, and there's not a lot of benefit about playing just with soil. You don't have to play with tomatoes or peppers. Just the benefit of playing with soil is good. It's good therapy. If you do it right, number 6, if you do it right, you can save money. Like you don't need all the seeds, you don't need all the equipment, you don't need all the cute and cuddly stuff when you start. You can start small, and the smaller you start, you can save money. And then my number 7, I kind of said it earlier on, the feeling of accomplishment after everything is put away, after everything is stored away, and in the colder months, like, hello, Patrick. In the colder months, you're looking at all that food. You can be either overwhelmed or feel that you've accomplished something really big. Hello, I'm guessing it's Jack or Lindsay, either or. Say hi. If you want to share what you're being up this week, make sure to share in the comments. I will read you and then try to remember where I was. Number 8, I've met a community of like-minded people. And it kind of goes with something in the back, because when I started, I did not have community. And I kind of met like what you call like my people. Like I can speak with Lynn about tomatoes till tomorrow morning. I can speak with Danielle from Boreal Homestead about tomatoes like till we drop of like not being able to stand up anymore. And if I talk to my best friend from high school about tomatoes, at one point she's going to tell me, girl, please stop, I'm so bored. So it's fun to be able to talk to people about seeds or about homesteading without having to feel you have to restrain yourself. With my latest record, my harvest worth is $12 more than I spend on garden supplies. Nice. That's a big accomplishment. Where was I? My kids get to exposed, to my opinion, to a better lifestyle. I'm like really trying and focusing on not showing them the big American dream. It's there. They're probably going to be exposed to it with their friends, like other people. But here, I try to teach them a connected, rooted, simpler lifestyle that I got a little when I was young. Like my grandma used to bake a lot, and like I don't know if people can understand this, but when you walk into someone's house and they've been cooking all day or baking all day, that smell is so comforting after a very long day. So that's what I'm trying to teach my kids. I'm gonna sneeze, sorry. So sorry. Yes, the community is precious. Homesteading made me meet you and Marilyn and Patrick. Yes. It is crazy to think that we live kilometers away, like 500, 1,000 kilometers away, and we were able to like all meet each other. Garlic can be very pricey. Like I buy seeds of garlic because I'm still not able to produce all my seeds. So half of my seed is from my harvest, and then the other half I bulk buy with my dad, and he negotiates like a big deal. So I get like bulk reduction, and he buys like in humongous quantities because he has like a huge garden, and he grows like 3/4 of his garden is garlic. So I'm able to save a lot of money on the garlic seeds. But if I calculate how many bulbs I have, and if I would have to buy it, I am still winning. I still save a lot of money just by growing my garlic, because it's an expensive crop to buy at the store. Because I only buy Quebec garlic. And off season, I used to buy. There was 2 other countries that I would buy, and then there's some that I refused to buy because like it's kind of sketchy. So it was an expensive thing to buy. So instead of buying garlic, I was buying organic garlic powder, which is not the same thing as a clove of garlic. It tastes the same, but it's similar, but it's, for me, it's not the same. You would like the smell of my home right now. What did you bake? What did you cook? This week made me think of yes. Automation of my chores when you have a minute. Yes. It's something that I've been wanting to do, like I think for 2-3 years, but it is something that we'll do in October, November of this year. I'm making many adjustments, and next year I am changing the way that I'm growing onions and growing my tomatoes in brassica family. So those are like the 3 adjustments I'll be making. I'll make sure to make a full video about the reason behind each of it. But I feel you. I was burnt even before I started. Hello, Joe. Hey, Patrick, I know what you mean. Mostly when you don't have someone. Yeah, like I got injured this week, and it threw me off till today. Like I'm starting to feel good again today. So that means when was it? I got injured when? When did I get injured? I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. Wednesday. So Wednesday I was supposed to start canning tomatoes, and I had so much tomatoes coming out of the high tunnel and everything. But then Wednesday I did nothing. Thursday I did barely, like bare minimum. Like I went to feed my animals, made sure everything was fine. Garden tour really, really fast, harvested like really what needed to be harvested, and the rest, like anything that could wait, waited. And then Friday I started to feel bad again. Saturday I didn't do nothing, and I restarted to do stuff today. So I'm behind like almost 3/4 of a week. For the future greenhouse. Yes. One of the optimization I want to do is I want drip tape, at least in my tunnel, on my brassicas, and on my tomatoes. If I can't make the brassicas, at least the tomatoes, so I can prevent the blossom end rot. It would be so much easier. Can't the big animals just take care of the small ones? That would be fun. That would be fun. But I don't have big animals. I just have small. Animal kingdom will prevail. If only, if only. I got a new pasta machine. I made a ton of pasta. You're speaking my love language. Pasta. Carbs. I love carbs. Bread, potatoes, bread, potatoes, pasta. I can fuel on that easily. Where was I? Every year I'm learning new skills. That's it's skills plural, because every year I learn so much. Like just this year, I've learned about pressure canning and different ways of preserving food, and new recipes, and like trial and error the errors, I was able to learn a lot from those errors. And that was actually number 10. And as a bonus, my number 11 is I have the privilege of sharing all that and inspire others here. And I find that it had to be said because so many people want to homestead, but they have no idea where to start. So I know that it is a privilege to be able to share it with you guys. Like I said, there's more people that is here. If you want to pop on and share your top 10s with me, you're more than welcome. I can just put the link here and I will make sure to add you. Does anyone want to share good reasons or what they feel that is good about homesteading before I go to the bad? Because there's always the good and the bad. Yes, definitely, Dave. Water is precious. That's something we're changing next year. I have 1 container of 1,000 liters and 2 containers of 53 liters. We are going to change that to at least 2 containers of 1,000 liters. And I'm hoping to find a way to connect one of 1,000 liters to my high tunnel to the system of drip tape. But that's like my husband's department. I have this all in my head, but he's the one that's going to help me figure out the logistics of how to do it. Definitely vitamin D, being exposed to the sun. Yes, keep the poison out of your food. You get to pick and choose what you put in your mouth. You have 15 cords of wood ready for this winter? You can safely chat. If you want to pop on, Tracy, you can. If you want, you can share your top 10s, good or bad. Just let me know. I'll send you the link. So if I'm understanding correctly, Patrick, you've been splitting wood. You have approximately 15 small cords, and you have to prep it and stock it for the winter. Yes, I only have wood. Yes, I remember that. You have 20 cords. Holy, you're ready for a long winter. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the bad. And I'm speaking for myself. I've been homesteading full time for almost 5 years now. I'm completing my 5th year this year. I find that it's harder to take time off and vacation because I have no one to come here at my house and take care of everything that needs to be taken care of. If I want to have vacation or time off, it has to be planned in advance. And everything has to be like really, really tucked in and like make sure everything is done. I can't just get up one morning and decide, okay, I'm going to leave. So it has to be organized for me to leave. And vacation, we are trying to figure out a way to be like my animals to stay inside, to have enough water, enough feed so that we will be able to take a vacation. But again, it has to be organized. So that's why I put that in the bad. It's not necessarily terrible. It's just, it is harder for us. From March till I would say October, it's long days. Sometimes it's 6 days a week. It starts early in the morning and it's late at night because I have my house, my kids, homework, school, kids project. Like, since I have like many hats to wear, it can be very long days during my high season. I have like in that high season, I have like down periods. So the first crunch is the seedling operation. And then as soon as the seedlings are being transitioned outside, I have like a couple of days up to a week of like peace a little bit. And then I have a crunch period of transplanting everything. So that means I have to prep garden bed, weed, blah, blah, blah. And then once everything is transplanted outside, I have 2-3 weeks of breather. Like I am able like to go and visit like friends and family like for the entire day, like not delaying any work. So they're in that crunch of like March till November. There are some like down periods, but everything has to be like done before I am able to leave the homestead for the entire day, or if I want to leave for a period of 24 hours. I do this on my own. So I consider homesteading YouTube my job. I am passionate about it, but I find that there's a lot, like I'm solo. There's only me. So it gets lonely sometimes. I do have the community, which is what I said earlier. This is like the flip side of finding a lot of community, but everyone that I know that homestead is at least 2 hours away from me. So it does get lonely. We purchased, okay, I just finished counting 116 pounds between, nice, another 100 pounds. So that, Remy, brings you to 700 pounds. I heat with wood only and use 12 face cord a winter. That's nice. Okay. It is hard for me to find help. Every single time that I need help, all of you guys are like 2 hours away from me. So it's hard to be able to have someone over here and to help me out. And there are weeks that I would need the extra help because, like I said, this is a solo job for me. The investment of infrastructure and tools when you start, that was like a big thing for me when we started. And every single year I have to budget like a certain amount to make the homestead better, to make things automatic. And every year the budget has to be high, or as high as I can put it, so that I can make the investment to make my life easier. The first years you can get away with some of tools, but the infrastructure, if you want animals, if you go cheap on infrastructure, you might lose animals. So if there's any places to cut, infrastructure is not a place where to cut. When animal dies, that's another thing that I find hard, because like you've raised that animal, you took care of that animal when it was healthy, and then you took care of the animal when it's unhealthy, and you've done everything you could to save it, and regardless, it dies. On the flip side of that, there is a positive. My kids now know about the circle of life. We live, we have a good life, and they now know the dying portion. And I let them grieve. We have a ceremony every single time an animal dies, and the kids like they write the name of the animal on a cross, and they go put it in the backyard. So I make sure to let them understand what's going on. No, we do not do autopsy of our animals here. Usually we know why they die. Yeah, even if we're close, we have the same chores to do. Haha, I'm sure we would find some time. You know, the irony, someone asks me for help. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna give like the day before someone asks me, okay, can you come help me out do this? I'm gonna do like 2 days of chore in one, and then the next morning I'm gonna get out earlier, like half an hour earlier, make sure that all my chores is done. I'm gonna go help out that person all day, and then come back home, and then a crunch that night do my chores. Like I don't have a problem helping out people, but there seemed to be a problem for people to come help me here because it's not the same type of stuff. Not everyone loves the homestead lifestyle. The learning curve, like when I started, I had no green thumb. Everyone keeps telling me, "Oh my God, Annie, you have such a green thumb, blah blah blah," and like, no, I did not have a green thumb when I started 5 years ago. I killed a lot of plants, and I had to go through the learning curve. So the learning curve, I would say, has been lasted at least 2-3 years. Had lots of failures before I had lots of success, and there was a lot of emotions dealing with that learning curve. And once I've understood that I had to go through all of those things so that I would figure out how to grow my own food. So there is like a love-hate situation in that phrase, but it is hard to accept failure. In my last one, number 8, I have very limited space. And the people that were visiting me today said that I was utilizing every single square inch I could. Yes, it is good that I use everything that is provided for me, but having lack of space makes everything crunched together. So that means when I want to add compost at the end of the season, I have to haul it in 5-gallon buckets. I cannot bring machinery. I cannot bring anything inside the garden other than my 2 feet, couple of 5-gallon buckets. So we have we have 5 or 6 5-gallon buckets. We fill them with compost, and then we bring it to the back garden with the tractor, and then I have to walk around with 5-gallon buckets and empty them on my garden beds. And on my raised beds, they are only 24 inches apart, and my wagon is 30 inches apart. So that means same thing. We bring compost to the beginning of the garden bed, and we just throw everything at the beginning of the garden bed, and then I rake everything back. So that's time consuming. And at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. If I would have had the space to have like 4 feet between the garden beds, I would be able to like bring the tractor around and then scoop a bit of compost here, a bit of compost there on both sides, and then like bring the tractor forward. But I can't do that. Like, yes, Dave, I need a farm. You are absolutely right. And I know it sounds stupid. I started designing, if ever one day I move, what my future garden will look like. With everything that I'm learning year after year after year, I change a little bit the concept of what I want, but I'm having like this idea going. Like tomatoes, I now kind of figure out how I want to grow them. In peppers, same thing. In like potatoes, same thing. Onions, same thing. But I would need a bigger lot, and like I can't take more here because my kids will have nothing left. When you say you feel the same, you're talking about limited in space. Yes, we cut it all from the homestead woods, and then okay, that's not for me. I think there is something about being home makes you a bit more lazy. In the winter, I'm gonna say yes. In the spring, it's cold outside, so half. In the summer, I can't. Like I go outside to feed my animals, and I pass right in front of my tunnel, right in front of the gardens, and I see all these tomatoes. So if I am lazy, I am not having food stored up. I wanted to do some cleaning in the garden before the garden tour. I filmed my garden tour at the beginning of month of August. And I had this picture in my mind, like that Instagram perfect garden, like no weeds. And I started weeding and like this. There's no way that I'm going to spend 5 hours weeding in just to film. Like it's the good, the bad, and ugly. So I shown raw garden tour, and I don't care if people say, "Oh my God, you have so much weeds." I don't care. I do what I can with the time that I have. I still had food. Doesn't sound stupid at all. You are allowed to dream, and yes, I know. I know. Thank you. Hello, Darren or Bridget. I hope the gods were nice also with you. I had an okay week. Since you just popped on, I was injured this week, so I had to take it easy starting Wednesday, and I'm just starting to be back on track. Your ear. Oh, sorry, that was for Darren. Wendy and I had a lot worked out while we were on a 2/3 of acre of Port Layton. So we had dreamt of what we wanted for years before. Yeah, and obviously things will change because I have younger kids. Instead of being 1 cup of pizza sauce in 2 to 3 years, it might be 2 cups of the sauce per Friday night. So instead of 50 times the little jelly jars, it might be 50 times the 500 milliliter jars. So I will have to adapt year after year after year. Like when I started pressure canning meat, I was testing the recipe in 500 mLs, and like when my kids enjoy it, I noted that night I opened 2 jars. So next time I'm going to do that recipe, it's no longer useful for me to do 1 liter jars. But then the kids are going to move out at one point, and then that will also change back to whatever was 1 liter jars will probably go down to 500 milliliter jars. It is definitely a crazy time right now. Definitely. It was raining. I just finished up my last canning session today. It was peach jam, and then I made another peach and strawberry jam, and then it started raining, and in my to-do list today before the live was to harvest all the tomatoes that started to change colors. And when it rains and you have almost ripe tomatoes on the vine, they crack. So you see this girl grabbing 2 huge buckets, going outside, bringing every tomato that she cans in a bucket, go back inside to make sure that my canning session is fine, then go back outside, take out all the tomatoes, bang, 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 bang. I was doing that for like 15 minutes. And then when my water started boiling, I was water bathing. I asked my husband to go back inside so that he can watch the canning session. Then I went back outside, picked up every single tomato that I had, and it ended up only being drizzles. So I ran like a crazy chicken with no head for absolutely no reason. But I have a lot of tomatoes that I'll be able to process this week. Lucky you, I only had little drizzles. The storm just hit us about 30 minutes ago. We were scrambling to put everything away. I hope you are doing better. I have given all my I don't have top 10s in my bag. Does anyone want to share here with me live or in the comments the bad, or you want to give us the live version of your top 10? Anyone courageous enough to come live with me? Mosquitoes, definitely. Bugs, that's something I forgot to say. Pest pressure. In zone 5, I have a lot of pests that I would not have in zone 4. So definitely I would have to add that. Or like all the pests, including the mosquitoes. It rained all day here, got very wet. Oh no. One positive thing is in these hard times, I got 2 full freezers. Definitely a plus. Flies have got to be one of the worst parts. Yes, and this year, I don't know for like anyone that's here, usually mosquitoes only came out when the sun started going down. And I was able to go outside during the day. No mosquitoes. I'm not in the boons. I'm not in the forest. I just have like cedar hedges on the two sides of my house, and that's it. Like, and I have 2 maple trees and some other trees, but like I'm not in the forest at all. But this year, they're out from morning till night, and they eat me alive, regardless of what I'm wearing. Like, I have to wear like long sleeves, but it's like 40 degrees outside, so it's either I get eaten alive by bugs or I am dying of heat. Sure, you're more than welcome. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. Here, I'll do this. Here, Tracy, if you want to join. That's not a negative. Well, yes, because like I was talking about infrastructure. Yes, I actually buy mine. I buy mine commercial. Like, I don't buy the small chest freezers. I buy the commercial chest freezers. They're bigger. Once you have pigs, the flies love it. I don't have pigs yet. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, you?
Good.
I'm just going to finish reading the comments, and then I'll let you have fun. I had to bring 2 turkeys at my mom's. They wouldn't fit in my freezer. Moose husting. Remy, you have to figure out how to pressure can meat. It's going to save you a lot of space.
Mm-hmm. It tastes a little bit different, but boy, it does.
I find that I pressure can pasture raised pork, and I pressure can store-bought pork. And I find that the meat, like, it was tender. But if I would have baked it, to cook it on the stove, it would have been, I would have tasted the difference. But because I was pressure canning it, I did not taste the difference. But I'm sure if I would like specifically sit down and analyze like my taste buds, I'm probably going to see the difference. But like at first glimpse, I did not. I know it sounds crazy, Darren, but Morgan and Goldshaw Farms put pig tape traps for flies with his cows, and it works great. Really? Okay, that's not for me. Next Sunday, Christine is coming. Yes! Make sure to learn. Make sure to learn pressure canning meat. Okay. You can introduce yourself a little bit. I'm not sure if there's any new viewers left. And then you can share your top 10s or whatever numbers you have of the good and the bad.
Okay. Tracy Hand from THAM 141 Homestead. I've been homesteading for a lot of years. I've homesteaded in an apartment and in a house with on 2/3 of an acre, and then we finally we were at the dream state, kind of planting our gardens and stuff like Annie said she was, and then we were able to move on to 20 acres of woodlot and carved out a homestead here. My wife passed away in December, so I am carrying on alone. That is one of the challenges that I would say, but also one of the pluses. Short of Wendy not being here, one of my pluses is the seclusion that I can have. I saw a meme the other day that says if you can't pee off your porch, your neighbors are too close. And
My neighbors are definitely too close.
That is exactly how I feel. But so yeah, one of the pluses is the seclusion that you can have if and when you want it. and it's also a drawback too. My support system, my brother and my best friend are now half an hour away. So if if I need help, I have to call them um, to get them here. I mean, a simple thing like moving, I can't get my truck started, and I need to move it so that we can put in a driveway for the new barn, and I can't do it alone because towing it without being able to steer it, it would just go bad. Um, but
I saw that you're building a barn
so
soon.
that Yeah, I'm hoping to get at least a concrete poured before winter. I'm helping Trevor. He's building a garage, um, and I refinanced the mortgage and ended up with enough. I should be able to build the barn all in one shot.
A pole barn?
Um, um, I was gonna do a pole barn style, but I'm going with stick frame because the 6x6s, in order to build the pole barn, the 6x6s alone would be like $1,400. It's just it'll
Ridiculous.
be cheaper. Yeah, yeah. Um, we are getting our trusses designed by in New York they have to be designed by an architect or a engineer, and I Trevor priced them and I price them at a different place, and they want $7,000 for the trusses to build a 24 by 24 building,
Ouch.
and the engineer will charge us like $500 for the plans because you got to have the engineer stamp on it. And then we can build them ourselves following his plans, and we can use his um, plans
Calculation.
for both
His
buildings because they're
calculations.
very,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's
So
gonna be
that'll cut
interesting.
the cost, and it's just yeah, and the lumber we're getting from the Amish, and they are a quarter of the price um,
Nice.
on the lumber. So, uh, but so yeah, that. But in order to do that, I've got all this stuff I need to do. Trevor came and dropped some of the trees I was worried about dropping because all you need is to have one go backwards, and there
Yep.
goes the wood shed or the tool shed or um, and so the tractor has come in so handy. I've done so much in one day. Well, in one morning, I moved enough logs that probably would have taken me a day to buck up into blocks and move with the four wheeler and trailer. Um,
That's nice.
and so yeah, it, that was one of the best moves I've ever made is going severely into debt on a tractor. But that so the seclusion is an upside and a downside. Um, but I do have that support system like half an hour away rather than I think you said it was like 2 hours
Yeah.
for
I think
you.
it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, but I'm just gonna say 2 hours.
Yeah.
So 2 hours is long.
But
30 minutes
cherish
would be nice.
yeah, yeah. Cherish your extra set of hands and even the kids when they can help. Like if you have to measure something, just holding the end of a tape measure, having somebody there to hold the end of the tape measure, or to just I mean, I don't know if your kids are old enough to steer the truck as it's being pulled, but
No.
soon they will be.
Soon. Soon.
they can yeah. Um
Oh, they would love
and
to drive Dad's truck. That's for sure. but
Yeah.
they can't. He drives a platform truck, so and
Oh,
it's not his.
nice.
You know those
Even better.
it's what do you call it? A towing truck?
Mhm.
His is
Yep.
a bit smaller and he has a boom on it, those big arms.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff that the boys enjoy in that truck. He's like, "Ooh,
Oh,
can I
yeah.
drive it?" And they're too young. Way
My
too
dad
young.
was a lawyer, or was a my dad was a logger, and at one point he had a truck with the it was a cargo truck. It had the boxes on the side of
Yeah.
the bed, plus it had a and oh my goodness, we used to love to get to ride in that truck. It had the stick shift. It was a manual transmission, but it had the stick shift on the column.
Yeah.
So we got to learn how to do that because he taught us how to do that. Um, but yeah, Dad's truck was awesome when we were young.
Dad's trucks
Um,
and dad's tools.
yes,
They love
Dad's
the tools.
tools and
Dad's tools.
yeah.
Before I let you on your second point, I'm just gonna read Marilyn.
Mhm.
Another bad when it's growing too fast and you need to take care of the plants almost every day. Uh, True. I can see where this comes from. Next year, I want to do less intensive plant care. I don't do that much. I know that as soon as a plant is sickly, you're supposed to take care of it. There's many things I could not do this year, so maybe
Mhm.
find the time next year. Took me 30 years to get a tractor. Makes life easy in my. Well, I think regardless of your age, if you can get something to make your life easier, and you have the capability financially to do it because your time is priceless. I can only think of
Yeah.
all the hours that I'm shoveling buckets, 5-gallon buckets, that I'm doing like intensely for 10, 20 hours, that I could practically maybe do
Mhm.
my entire backyard in 1 hour, like maybe two with the raised beds. And then another hour or two to move everything around in the tunnel. So I would say instead of being like a week job, it would be an entire days of work.
Mhm.
That's it. So
Yeah.
investment well placed can save your
Yeah.
sanity and save a lot of time, lots of time. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm no longer interrupting you.
Oh, no, that's fine. Um, I'm not having the help we kind of touched on, because when we started on this land, like clearing this land, I wouldn't have been able to do it without Wendy's help. And now that she's no longer here, the I'm trying to do better in the garden because my follow through in the garden has always suffered a little bit. Um, I'm strong in the beginning, and then I fall behind on weeding and stuff. But now I'm trying to get everything done outside, so now the inside is suffering. But the good thing is we'll have 3 or 4 foot of snow here soon, so I'll have no choice. I'll have plenty of time to do the dishes in the winter.
That's what I was about to say. You'll have plenty of time for the inside very soon. Because I just realized we
Yeah,
are August 21st. I wrote down the date for my thumbnail and I wrote down August 21st. I'm like, what the? We're already end of August.
yeah.
So some of
It,
us,
it's it-
it's cold. It's what do you call it? Frost soon. In
yeah,
4 weeks, people are gonna start experimenting frost. I think
yeah,
Marilyn is the first week of September, which is like in 3 weeks.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cold.
That
Cold is coming.
yeah.
Winter is
And
coming.
I think with the way the nights have cooled down around here, I think it's going to be a long winter.
I'm not
Um,
listening. La la.
I don't know how harsh it.
I'm not listening.
But that's yeah, that takes us to an upside
Yeah.
because this lifestyle is a lifestyle of being prepared. Whether you're a prepper, whether you're preparing for, okay, we might get snowed in for 2 or 3 days, or whether you're saying, hey, we might be locked down for 6 months, or however it goes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lifestyle of preparedness. Um, and now I find myself being trying to help others prepare. Like, I'm able to say, okay, uh, this is the kind of food. My sister-in-law, she's kind of bounces on vegetarianism, and then it was so
Carnivore.
funny 'cause, yeah, when we were on vacation, she had been on the vegetarian train for quite a while, and she ended up, I think it was a pulled pork sandwich, and to watch her enjoy that pulled pork sandwich just made me feel so good. And it was the first meat she had eaten in a long time. Um, and
What made
and
her change
and
her
that's
mind?
that. I think it was a friend of ours got a rack of ribs, and it looked delicious and it smelled delicious. So she says, "Well,
Ribs
I'm
are
on
hard to beat.
vacation." Yeah, and this in West Virginia, the food was just fantastic. But knowing that she prefers vegan or vegetarian style things, I'm able to say, okay, I'm going to put up more beans this year, so we can make the bean casseroles and stuff like that in case they need a little bit. Because Trevor, he works 60, 70 hour weeks, and so gardening and stuff isn't
Not really
really easy
possible.
for, yeah. Um, so so now I'm able to say, okay, now let me start preparing, and putting away. And if they don't need it, fine. I love green beans and green bean casserole and all that stuff.
So you
So
preserve for yourself and for Trevor's family.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's what, yeah, because I'm finally getting to the point where I can. I've got more squash from the last couple years in my pantry than I'll ever be able to eat, just for a simple reason. In the summer, I come in and I'm like, okay, I need to get something to eat. Man, oh man, scalp squash, which it's kind of like what I'm calling scalp squash is like squash wafers, uh, in like
Yeah.
a cracker type base type casserole type
Yeah,
thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Um, but most of the time in the summer, I won't eat that. Because it takes too long. I've got to heat up the stove and the oven and all that stuff.
It
So
heats up
I'm
the
in the summer.
house.
Yeah. Um, so so that's a thing that I've got that to fall back. That's kind of my fallback or my winter food. And then I'll be canning. I'm starting to get spaghetti squash and stuff like that coming out good now, and crookneck squash, and uh, it's so I have to start eating that. That's another plus, is I have to start eating squash so that I have room to put my new harvest
Yeah.
in.
I
So
find that if you're not a prepper, you eat within the seasons. It's like I
yes,
don't consider myself as a hardcore prepper. I maybe
right,
have like a year's worth of food, but I don't have a year's worth of food of everything. Like I maybe have
right,
6 months of something, 3 months of something else. But I have something in front of me that if and need be, I could survive at least 1 to 3 months. Like I would not have milk anymore because like I don't have
yeah,
cow. But I would have eggs. I would have water. I would have meat. I would have fruits and vegetables that is frozen, stuck away.
And
So I kind of live like on the line of in the season in prepper.
and honestly, that's the healthiest way to be is eating things when they're ripe anyway, because what it 10 I don't remember if it's minutes or hours after you pick a fruit or vegetable. Oh, I'm sorry, Remy. I won't say squash anymore.
I'm out of drink. I'm sorry.
I'm hitting the hard stuff. I've got the water.
I had a tea.
um, but uh, but within 10, it's either 10 minutes or 10 hours. The vitamins,
Decrease.
a lot of the benefits of the food that you pick from your garden starts getting down.
Hmm. And you kind of lose a little bit while you process it.
Yeah, yeah.
My prepping is multiple varieties, species to so complete crop failure isn't. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. And I went out and I had to clear a spot for the the barn, and because we knew that's where we wanted the barn, we had dropped a bunch of trees from that area. So blackberries grew up. So I went out and picked a couple quarts of blackberries. They
Nice.
never even made it to the fridge. I just they were my snack. I was watching. I've been watching Scrubs, and I just been popping them in my mouth. So,
That's a good snack.
because I didn't want them to go to waste. Because yeah,
Are you going to
yeah.
relocate those blackberries?
And then no, no, I am not, because um, I am blessed because we carved this out of the woodlot, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a little clearing down by where the driveway comes in, um, and there were blackberries growing there. The woods every year keep trying to come back in. So if you clear and get a sunny spot, you're going to get saplings starting. You're going to get blackberries, a lot of blackberries starting.
Mm.
I got a video. I hope I did it on my tractor the other day. I was trying to. This chicken was in my way, and I was wondering what in the world is she doing. She just kept looking up, and I'm looking up myself. All of a sudden, she jumps up, and I'm like, "What in the world?" She was jumping up and grabbing the ripe blackberries from the blackberry bush, and I'm sitting here looking up in the sky like an idiot. Like, what is she looking at?
Oh
And she
God.
was.
It must have been an epic moment.
It was, and I think I might have caught it on camera because I've got a GoPro type camera up
Hmm.
behind my head.
I hope you did. I
That
hope you did. It's a cute
uh,
moment.
yeah, yeah.
There's
But
there's a video that circles in homesteading groups on Facebook. There's this chicken that has this like cutest, fluffiest butt, and she like flapping her wings to jump to grab an apple, and she jumps and jumps and jumps, and like you can see she's trying, and then at one point she gets the apple, and I'm like, girl, you totally deserve that apple because
right,
you worked your ass off.
yeah, she she already burnt those calories. She can have
Yeah,
that apple guilt
oh, she
free.
can have it. She deserves it. I know I'm not going to be able to eat it, but she deserves it.
Yeah,
It
uh,
must have been cute as that.
it is. And that's another. If you mentioned, I think I was in the car, but you mentioned you feel connected to the ground, to the earth.
To
Um,
soil, land, my
with this,
property.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it is so true because you see things, I have chickens, so if I catch, and it bothers me because I'm hitting the age, I'm starting to get the floaters in my eyes, so I'm seeing black things go in the corner of my eye. But when I see something flying over, we have hawks here, and I'm always looking, so I'm seeing blue jays and robins and the birds, and I'm having to protect my strawberries from them, and I'm looking for the slugs, and even I'm very sensitive to what's going on in the ecosystem of my yard and my garden. And it's just amazing the cool stuff that you find, you know.
I'm
um
seeing year after year new things. Um I used to have those little the capo. What's capo in English? Frogs.
mhm.
I had those little tiny frogs. This year, the frogs are about, they're huge, okay? Like I
Yeah.
have toads, that's what I'm looking for, okay? I wear glasses normally. My
Mhm,
sunglass has force in it. Like I need to see I need glasses to see from far. And
mhm,
sometimes I go outside with no glasses, so I step around, blah blah blah. I don't care. I don't never seen totes in my life in my garden. And this year, I went to dig for something, and that thing was like huge. Those two eyes on top, like went plook. I'm like, and I screamed. I think like my fifth neighbor heard me. Like, what the? And I've never seen totes that big in my yard, and this year I found five. And I have to be careful when I pass the weed eater. I have to walk in my pathways because there's weeds,
mhm.
and they are as tall as a toad. So I walk like really fast, like 1 inch at a time to make sure I'm telling them, okay, I'm passing the weed eater, and then I see all these little things going everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, it was not there before. And every year I have more and more butterflies that come here. I also have more and more pests,
Mhm.
but one comes with the other. This year I had a
And
loads of bumblebees.
it I think some of it is because as a gardener, you are creating a healthy ecosystem in your soil. Soil is alive.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that struck me when I stopped. I went to the Back to Eden garden, and I stopped tilling. Is my soil is alive. If I pick up like my compost, that okay, that was kind of icky because there were like snails and stuff in it. But I
Mm.
reached in and I grabbed, it was beautiful compost, but I held it there for a few seconds, and there are little pieces of it starting to move.
Hmm.
And it's because it's alive. There's stuff in there. And as you create a healthy ecosystem in the soil, you'll have other things coming in. Snails are they can be a pest, but they come in because of plants that aren't doing so well, that aren't necessarily healthy. That's what they eat.
Yeah, they decompose some of the stuff for you.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
and
have
as
that much snails in my garden other than in my cabbages, so I can't complain that
right,
much.
uh, but it's all toads, any reptile really, um, are a sign of a healthy ecosystem. And so the more you do for your garden, the more you're building up your ecosystem, the more wildlife, whether it be insect or whatever, you're going to see. And
I'm gonna
I
have to
mean,
build a pond for them.
yeah. Well, toads, a lot of toads don't like water.
Well, the little ones, the
Yeah.
toads love the ground. Like in my tunnel, they like bury themselves, and I only see like the top of the head. So I
Yeah.
screamed a couple of times this year because of that. Yes, produce is definitely. I am. It's gonna be a pattern. I'm sure fresh produce will be more expensive for sure.
Yeah.
This year, I probably will invest in. I have my indoor light. I'm gonna do like a little garden bed of like Swiss chard, lettuce, spinach, and I'm gonna try to push it also in my high tunnel. And I have seeds for microgreens and sprouts.
Mhm.
So if I hope I can buy in bulk cauliflower and broccoli so I can freeze it at the end of the season. But I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. I'm not the heiress. I found some stink bug also at my house. I thought they were squash bugs, but they kind of look alike, and I squashed it, and it smelled really bad.
He said that's stick bug
Stink,
though.
stink bug. Is that what he meant?
No, well, it
Or
says
he's
stick
talking
bug.
about or is it the praying mantis you're talking about?
Well, there are bugs that look like sticks, and they will sit and they'll like put their butt down on a stick, and it looks just like a little
Really?
branch. Yeah, they
I've
actually look like sticks. That's their camouflaging system.
never seen
Um,
it. Praying
and
mantis, that would be fun to have
yeah,
because they are ferocious on like bad pests.
yeah, yeah,
That's the thing about pests. They attack the weakest area of the plant first. Could be a sign of something's going wrong.
yeah,
Of course, stick bug. Okay, you're right. That's what he meant. Um, obviously a bug. I'm maybe this could be wrong, but when the squash plant is in um, unhealthy or is being stressed, it has a smell.
yeah.
So it attracts cucumber beetles, squash bugs, and vine borers. Just the smell of the squash plant is very attractive to them. But if your plants are struggling, so that means you've cut a flower, you've cut something, or the plant
Just
something,
transplanting it the first
yeah,
couple days after transplanting.
it's as soon as it's stressed, it smells even higher. So if that plant produces more smelling or like smells more for pests, I'm sure that a tomato plant that's struggling probably is going through the same aspect for pest pressure. It probably
Mhm.
has like either like an odor or something that the pest is attracted to, or a color or something. Because if the squash does it, I'm thinking that the other does it also.
And the healthier your soil is, the less the plant, like uh MB Heritage, Michael and Bobby, uh Homestead on YouTube, they did a thing on making willow water. Just cutting, they had a weeping willow,
Yeah,
but you can use any willow, and they just made a, would that be a concoction or a tink? It wouldn't be a
I,
tincture, but it's
I,
just soaking it in water.
okay, so concentrated tea.
Yeah, a tea, that's it. And then you put some in the hole before you put your plant in there, and it reduces the stress put on that plant.
Really?
Yeah.
I was taught to put bone meal
Yeah, that
for
yes, there are certain things that,
transplant shocks. Yeah, there's
yeah.
a hormone that I know. There's a synthetic hormone that you can dip the roots of your plants just before you transplant it, so that you
Yeah.
minimize the transplanting shock. I know that commercially you can get it as an agriculture.
Mhm.
I do not know if it's available for like little gardeners as us.
Right.
This year I tried bone meal for some of my stuff. I have to now add this to my list of education for the winter.
Yeah, MB Heritage, Farms, they they've got a thing, they actually went through and clipped from their weeping willow, and, it reduces the transplant shock, and even when they transplant from pots, I have got to find, I've got willows, but I don't have weeping willows, but all willows have that, I wanna say salicylic acid or something like that, but I'm
I
not
don't
that
know.
sure.
I don't
But
have a actually no. My neighbor has a weeping willow.
so
Is that the one that kind of like goes
mhm,
all the way down? Yeah, my
yeah,
neighbor has a weeping willow. I
yeah,
should ask him.
and
I should
yeah,
ask him.
and you can plant those. You can clip off a branch, and some people say you can just stick it in the mud. I've never had luck. I've tried it twice.
I would
And
never, ever, ever put on my land that I have right now a weeping willow. Never.
well, they take
Because
up a lot of room.
they, on top of the soil, they're beautiful. I love the aspect. It's romantic. Like all
Mhm.
about the tree. It's beautiful. But under, like under the soil, the roots goes for very long, and you can't plant that near a foundation
Right.
because it's gonna crack the foundation. It's really powerful. My parents used to have a willow at their house, and it cracked the foundation of the house.
Oh,
Like the
wow.
corner of the house was cracked. They had to fix it because
Wow.
the previous owners planted that tree right next to the foundation, like maybe a couple of meters past, which is not very bright. And it took like forever to remove the what was in the soil. Like the
Yeah.
top part was removed, and then removing like the lower part, they had to dig because it was huge. But
Y-
it's a beautiful tree.
Yeah. When I was doing my research on the tractor, I watched a video where the guy he had a backhoe for his Branson tractor, and he ended up digging over like 7 feet deep. It was a pine tree, but the root was still that big. The tap root,
The
the
main
main
root.
root was huge. Um, and it
And then
was just an old growth tree.
yeah,
Um,
and we wonder why we say trees are so important for the
yeah,
ecosystem balance. We wonder why. We
well,
wonder
yeah,
why.
because all of that, the nutrients that are down deep that some of our plants can't get, those trees bring to the surface. It,
Yeah.
it, it it's amazing, and that's one of the pluses. I love science. I started a series. I need to get working on it again on another channel that I have, um, and on the science of the Bible, and it is just amazing how things are set up, and how far ahead the Bible was of science, but just the simplest thing like the dragonflies and stuff, their compound eyes, woodpeckers, how they have to close their eyes. They have to open their eyes to see where they're hitting, but then before they hit, they have to close their eyes or their eyes would come out of their head. It's amazing.
Is it that one that's gonna pop out?
Yeah, because they hit with such force. And their what is it? Is it their neck or their skull or something is shaped slightly different than other birds to facilitate
Accommodate. Yeah.
that blow. Yeah. Um,
It's
and we
fun
get
when you analyze those little details that everything
yeah,
was like every single bird has their attributes for their
yeah,
specific needs.
yeah,
Somewhere, somehow, someone decided that that bird's going to need specifics on their skulls to make it easier on themselves.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And um, it's one of those things where as we develop our ecosystems, as we develop our soils, we get to see all this stuff work. There's a movie called The Biggest Little Farm, I think.
The smallest little, yeah, it's on Netflix. I saw it. It's amazing.
It,
There's actually a second chapter I heard. I want to see it. It's not on Netflix yet.
I watched. I think it was on Hulu, maybe, but
I found it on, well, it's I found it and
but
watched it
the
on
sec
Netflix.
well, yeah, the first one,
Yeah.
the second one, the second one I saw is more of a documentary, like years after, and it's kind of like going over, okay, what's going on now,
But of the
and
same farm, right?
right, the same farm.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Nope.
The
Well, not
biggest.
for this anyway.
Are you trying to say something? Little
Oh, Chick,
farm.
you're a homesteader. You're nuts. There's no doubt about that.
It's called The Biggest Little Farm. I found it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
And
there's also another one, Kiss the Ground.
mm,
I've watched that one. And there's
kiss the
another
ground.
one it's called Kiss the Ground. And that one's a movie, Kiss the Ground. And there's another one I watched. I can't remember. Uh, it was a documentary. It was explaining garlic where it comes from, the way they process it, the struggles they have around garlic, the struggles they have around that arnavaka. What's it called? What's an avocado in English? Not the lawyer, the fruit. It's green. It's this big. It has
Lime?
no, God, Mexican food. Guacamole was it made? What
Oh,
is it made of? What's
avocado.
that's it. Avocado. Like that. It talks about the struggles of avocado and the drought that it occurred in certain countries. It's on Netflix also. I can't find it. I watched those three. It's the little, but the biggest little farm. It's a 7-year adventure,
Yeah.
and they go through a heck of a ride.
Oh, goodness, yes. They they
Bef-
they revamped the orchard,
yeah,
and the orchard drew, I'm gonna say they had to have millions of snails there. And they're like, "Man, we don't wanna use pesticide. What do we
yeah,
do?" So they brought in ducks and
yeah.
let them,
Indian runner
you know,
ducks.
it was crazy. It the whole cycles of everything, if we can tap into what, whether you believe in God or Mother Nature or whatever, if we can tap into what is going on there, what's been set up for us to use,
Mm,
oh my goodness. It
that's one of the things that I remember from that movie. They analyze their setup, and they're like, okay, we have this problem, and we also have this problem. They didn't like they had problems feeding their ducks. They also had
Mhm.
problems with the snails.
Yeah,
And then they realized that in the pond where there was so much algae, they were eating the snails. So they took the ducks and they brought them to the fields. They cleared
yeah,
out the snail problem, and then they brought the ducks back to the pond after cleaning the algae. And every single thing, they used what they had on the to fix the next problem. And another thing that hit me is the animal that was eating their chickens. I think it was a coyote.
yeah,
And the man that speaks, the owner of the farm, says that night a part of me died with the coyote because
yeah,
I had to choose who would live, who would die. So I chose that my chickens would live, so I had to kill the coyote. So part of me died that night. And I find that it seems simple to say, okay, I have to kill the coyote, but
right.
killing it just because it's eating his flock. And when he said that, it's actually true because
Yeah,
you you have to decide who lives and who dies
yeah.
when you have livestock.
And being human, that unless you're a sociopath, when you kill an animal, I mean, I love hunting, but when you kill an animal, that affects you. You're
It
taking,
does.
especially when you realize I'm taking a life so that I can continue living.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
it's
why every single time I raise an animal and I butcher an animal, I ask for forgiveness, and I say a blessing, and I thank him or her for his sacrifice,
yeah,
and I say I hope I gave you the best life you ever had. I know it kind of sounds weird, but it kind of helps me with the process. I give
right,
them the best life, and then when I harvest them, I thank them for their sacrifice because their
yeah.
sacrifice means I can feed my family with good food.
Well,
I know
Remy,
that I can be.
everybody feels. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. Oh, well, vegans will say you don't have to kill this animal. La, 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 la. Okay, we can go
Yeah,
down that rabbit hole very far. I do not personally believe that being a vegan solves everyone's problems,
no.
unless you grow all of your food. The only way, I'm going to only say this, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Hmm.
I believe if you want to be a green and be a vegan, you cannot do it unless you raise all of your food because you need proteins, you need carbs, you need certain things, and those things come from all over the world
Yeah,
because not everything's in season. So, whatever you're ordering online as a protein base, it travels. So it leaves, there's airplanes, there's carbon, blah, blah, blah. So unless you grow all of your food, I personally think a vegan cannot make a difference. I actually make a difference by raising my own food and part of my animals, because like everything's here. I know that I'm taking a life, but personally I find that all the gas and all the traveling of their food that they're eating is as bad.
Yeah.
But that's my thinking.
The thing is I explained to my grandkids, these pigs, when we buy pigs, um, we buy them with the intent that is their purpose in life, is to fill our freezer. Yeah, that's what I was laughing at, Remy. There is the joy and the exhilaration, but somewhere deep down, I'm sure there's that. Oh man, such a beautiful animal. I'm sorry I killed it. Oh, it's not all of a sudden. He's been a sociopath for years since I've known him.
Hmm. Well, if you have to end an animal's life because it's suffering, that's a total different ballgame. Like you're ending the suffering.
Right.
I do
And
mind, but still happy I won't need. It's a love-hate situation because
yeah,
when you harvest your animals, it removes chores and
right.
gives you more time to do something else. So I understand that. So it's like it's kind of a full circle thing. Like you
Mhm.
are super happy the animal's there. You have to take care of the animal. If there's a problem, you have to take care of the problem. If there's fixing up to do, you have to do it. Then you harvest it. Then you feel bad because you've taken a life. But then like you're happy because you no longer have to do the chores. You no longer have to blah blah blah, and your freezer's full. So it's
And
kind of like that circle of life altogether. And
yeah,
you have the bonus to know where your food comes from and what was put in them to feed them.
absolutely. I asked a woman asked me once, why do you hunt? And why do you feel it's necessary to kill an animal? I said, because it's really hard to get them in the pan unless they're dead. It's a pain.
True, true. Well, you see, um, actually, hunting is necessary in some parts of the world to control the population because an
Yeah,
overpopulation of a species can actually cause multiple problems
yeah,
on the ecosystem, on the whole hierarchy of animals. Like,
yeah,
just for example, I just saw time, so I'm going to complete with that. Yellowstone National Park had so many issues, ecosystem wise, animal problems, water retention, blah, blah, blah. They tried to introduce wolves. I think it's a certain type of wolves
mhm,
in the park. And year after year after year after year, the ecosystem was repairing itself because, like, the wolves were hunting this type of animal, so that type of animal went higher in the mountains, and then the water problems, like the water banks were like too wide, so they became narrower. So like just by adding one animal, the ecosystem actually resolved itself.
yeah,
But the animal is a hunter. Obviously, some
yeah.
animals had to die. So sometimes hunting is necessary to control the populations
Oh,
because we don't
absolutely.
want ecosystem problems in the end.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing he agrees that he's a sociopath, or he's not sure
He
that
might
he's
be
a
talking
sociopath.
about getting getting the animal in the pan when it's still alive. That
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be cruel.
Well, try to picture like this huge buck that's like 500 pounds full,
Oh
and
my
you're
god.
like a tweezer next to him. He's like, "Who are you to tell me I'm going in your plate?" You're
My
gonna have
my
a
brother-in-law my brother-in-law tells a story of they shot a buck, and they put it in the back of the truck, and they're driving down the road, and it had a topper on the truck, and that buck woke up, and that topper lost it. That buck was just so stinking strong. Yeah. um
God. I would not want to be in the car when that happens.
no,
It would be a
no.
hell of a ride of like of screaming and panicking and not fun.
Yeah.
Did you want to add something else, positive, negative, before I let all of you guys go? I've been hearing my little one downstairs giving my
Oh,
husband a very hard time.
oh
So
no. God
he's
bless your
like,
husband for letting you do this.
yes, I am very lucky. Every time I do this or film or do something for you guys, he's the one in the back taking care of the kids. So I can't complain. He's a very good father to my children. But my little rascal, he was good all day long, all day. But now he's overkill tired. So poor little man needs attention.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to have to go give it to him.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I can't really think of anything offhand, but yeah.
So we're
Um,
feeling that there's more positive than
oh,
negative.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Hello, Carp's Homestead. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say hi to you, but I'm also going to say bye because I normally end at 7:30. I am trying to make my lives later. We're in the process of building a office, but it's not finished yet. So as soon as I can finish my office, I will see what time I can make it, because later I don't have to tell you guys, oh my God, it's 7:30. I have to go put the kids to bed, blah, 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 blah. So I'll be less savage and spend more time with you guys. So everyone, goodbye. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad I had you on the live, and I missed 10 minutes and we have a social. Okay. So, do you want to say that again one last time before before we go? Why Remy was a sociopath?
oh, yeah. We were talking about when you kill an animal, if you don't feel a, a little twinge of sadness, then you might be a sociopath. And Remy said, I think I might be a sociopath. But we'll work that out. We'll get Remy some help.
We'll send him some love.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
take care, everyone. Bye.
See you later, guys.